Welcome to Custom Technical University and our top 5 tips. Today, the topic is preventing your large format tile from breaking. Porcelain and natural stone tiles are tough, time-tested floor coverings, but they're also brittle, and they can crack or break if not properly installed, and then experience heavy loads or impact. These larger formats naturally take on more of the stresses when a substrate is under deflection than smaller tiles, especially in a running bond pattern. And with fewer and smaller grout joints, thermal growth can also lead to bond failure and damaged tiles. Over 80% of the tiles sold and installed now qualifies as large format tile, with one side being longer than 15 inches. And many projects are now routinely specified with 36 or 48-inch tile planks. All of these larger tiles require proper design, great installation materials, and proper techniques in order to last. So let's discuss our tips. Tip number 1, inspect and flatten the substrate. Starting with a flat substrate is an important first step in preventing cracks and breakage, especially with large format tiles. Flatness tolerances are very stringent. The tile industry's ANSI standard calls for no variation in flatness greater than 1/8 of an inch in 10 feet, or a 1/16 of an inch in any 24 inches. These requirements almost always mean that a self-leveling underlayment is needed on floors, especially over concrete slabs because they're known to curl and shrink after placement. Applying a self-leveling underlayment is a fast and cost-effective way to bring the surface into compliance before installing tile or stone, but choose a leveler based on the service use of the floor. For example, will the tile be subject to stresses like wheel traffic or dynamic point loading? And in thin applications, choose a leveler with high flow properties and high compressive strengths, such as Custom's Level Quick RS, Tech Level 150, or XP1. And remember, a primer is always required before leveling, and primers also vary in performance, so choose the right one for your project. Tip number 2, select a mortar formulated for use for large and heavy tiles. The Tile Council of North America estimates that the average tile at 3/8 of an inch thick weighs 4 pounds per square foot. So the mortar has to support that tile on a horizontal substrate while it's curing in order to achieve a flat installation. And installations are even more demanding in vertical or overhead applications because gravity is really working against you. Mortars formulated for these applications are designated as H for heavy tile and T for thixotropic, or non-sagging. And when they're lightweight mortars, their reduction in weight helps even more to prevent slumping or sagging. Although H-designated mortars have to resist slumping when applied in a 1/2 inch thickness, Custom's large format tile mortars exceed the standard, and they can be applied up to 3/4 of an inch deep to mitigate problems with warped or domed tile, which are more common in larger formats. When you combine the H and the T properties into a high-performance mortar that meets ANSI A118.12 and then add higher flexibility, you provide the best protection against breakage. Custom's Megalite mortar has the highest bond strengths in our industry and is so flexible it meets the standard for crack isolation membranes. Look for these designations on packages and datasheets when you choose an LFT mortar. Tip number 3, play it straight. If you haven't already watched the new and improved version of the trial and error video, you need to. This video is a joint production of Custom and the National Tile Contractors Association. It clearly demonstrates how to set large format tile and prevent lippage, breakage, and other problems that you don't want your company's name associated with. The goal is to achieve full mortar coverage, and the method is simple. Comb the mortar in straight lines. Ridges should be running across the shortest side of the tile. Then apply mortar to the back of the tile using the flat back troweling method, and this will assist in wet mortar transfer. Then after placement, move the tile back and forth, collapse the ridges of mortar, and this removes all the air, and it prevents voids beneath the tile. It's really that easy. Without voids underneath it, the tile's much less likely to break under impact or deflection. And trowel size matters. Use a large notch trowel like Custom's premium notch trowel that is specially designed to easily collapse mortar ridges. Tip number 4, install a crack isolation membrane. In addition to using the right mortar, and the right setting technique with large format tiles, including a crack isolation matter membrane, will offer significant protection for your tile and grout. These membranes actually allow movement and they reduce stress at the bond line. All custom isolation products meet or exceed ANSI A118.12 for high performance. This means it can manage greater than or equal to 1/8 of an inch movement. Crackbuster Pro is able to manage in-plane movement up to 3/8 of an inch. RedGuard, an elastomeric liquid membrane, adds waterproofing benefits to its crack isolation properties, and both of these products have an extra heavy-duty service rating. They're ideal for addressing existing and future cracks that can cause tile breakage. Tip number 5, movement joints prevent tile breakage. Lack of properly placed movement joints is the #1 cause of tile assembly failures. The internet is full of examples of tiles tenting, popping off the floor when there's no accommodation made for movement. Every tile assembly needs to ride out movement because it will happen. And the common causes of movement are thermal expansion due to direct exposure to sunlight, freeze-thaw cycles, deflection, and settling of the structure. TCNA EJ171 details the placement and treatment of soft movement joints that will protect your tile and grout during this movement. The joints are required at perimeters, changes of plane, and in established intervals depending on the location. In order to expand and contract without damage, all of these movement joints are filled with a backer rod and a permanently flexible sealant, such as Custom's commercial 100% silicone. Remember, movement joints are critical and required. They're not optional. Designing the placement of movement joints is the responsibility of the architect or the engineer. And if it's not made clear to you, go back and ask for information to detail these joints. When installed correctly, using our tips, large format tile installations can last a lifetime. And if you'd like to know more, visit our website or give us a call. We hope you liked the video, share it, and subscribe for the latest tips on tile installation. Thanks again for joining us at Customs Technical University. We'll see you at our next edition of Customs Top 5 Tips.